Okay, everyone, we're going to make a start. Can you just wave at the camera if you can hear me? Oh, great, all working. Excellent. Thanks. Well, the first thing to say is thank you so much for taking out half an hour of your day, even just to come to this meeting. Joe and Faye are going to be joining me in talking around the concept and where we've got to. Hopefully, Ellie Adams will also join us in chipping in a little bit, and anyone else who's had a go at filming a video. So the whole thing around iSchool and around producing our content is when we've been pushing out the Oak National, that was always going to be a short-term approach. And what we came to the conclusion was that actually, you know, we need the kids are going to get the best deal if we can film our lessons. Now, initially we started doing that on Iris, but what we found was that there were too many factors that were going to be concerning people, you know, the children, whether there be behavioural issues, whether there would be even children walking across the camera, permissions and things. So after taking feedback from the C2I group, we had a small group who were really kind enough to test out the whole thing. What we came to the conclusion was that actually it was too much too soon. And then we had year 2 and year 6 bubbles go down. And as a result of that, you know, Kelly, Chloe and Denise, they started to innovate. And then the year 6 Robin Hood team started to add to that. And what we saw was that actually the best way of introducing learning to our families is if we do a short 5 or 10 minute video using Google Slides and recording over that a short video in Google Meet, so that's added in. And what we found, the feedback was that was really, really successful. So we want to be able to do that from year 1 to year 6. And the whole premise around that is that any child who's off and shielding will push out these videos. And broadly speaking, if you're recording an element of video for year 6 or for year 1, let's say it's English, that'll get pushed out to the to any child who's shielding, and they get to access the MAT curriculum. They get to do the same work as the other children, but the key thing is it's only a 5 or 10 minute input from the teachers. Joe and Faye, do you want to add a little bit to that?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's really about providing a sort of better quality experience for the children across the MAT, really, that's more matched to our curriculum, which the Oak Academy just can't do and isn't doing. But it's also about sort of developing a sort of blended learning approach that can be really used effectively beyond the situation that we're in at the moment. So what we're really looking for is you know, some volunteers to pioneer this approach across the trust and sort of tread a path for others to follow. I mean, this is a strategy that we want everyone to be using if a bubble closes, and it's just, we've learned quite a lot from the 2 bubbles, the year 2 and the year 6 bubbles that have gone down so far. So it's kind of leveraging that experience, leveraging the technology that we've all got now to just provide a better experience for our children. And moving forwards, I think the key thing really for me is that I think it'll have some big paybacks outside of the COVID crisis, in the fact that, you know, it will enable a blended learning approach. It should help with homework tasks. It should help moving forwards with some more sort of interventions that can be shared across the trust. So I think it's something that we can really jump on board with, and we need some pioneers like you guys to sort of trial it out and tread that path for us.
I think sorry, Faye, you go. Sorry.
I just think, just to pick on what Joe said there as well, just I think the feedback that we've had from parents as well, when the bubbles that have closed have been doing this approach of doing videos over slides and things, has been much more positive, and children have engaged much more successfully with it. So the more people that we can have to support that, and obviously we've taken on board things that the year 6 and year 2 bubbles that went down have said, and tried to make this as simple as it can be without adding too much extra workload for you as well.
Yeah, and I think that we're going to ask Ellie Adams. Ellie, would you mind just unmuting your microphone?
Hello.
Hi, Ellie. So you guys really started testing out adding in, doing those short clips. Now, what we're thinking for everyone is that if we can get enough people signing up, ideally we'd have from, say, let's say it's year 6, we'd have one person doing the English, we'd have that, and that's the basis for us. Ideally though, we'd also have one person doing the maths, and then we might have at a later date maybe one person doing the topic, but to start with, certainly one person doing the English, one person doing the maths. Just tell us a little bit about how easy it was to record and to do that element using Google Meet and slides.
Yeah, it was really straightforward, and I think that people have this fear of extra workload, which every teacher has. But I think for me, the workload that I always don't like is workload that feels like unnecessary workload, whereas this was sort of quick, easy little videos that you could really see the massive change in the impact. So you could see that when children could see them and everything, it was just so much easier for the children. And actually it was kind of more of a workload having to unpick misconceptions further down the line and things like that, or answering their questions without just being able to show them. So yeah, in terms of the technology, it was really straightforward. Like I'm not great with technology, so we just followed Steve's little how to record on Google Meet, and that's just a few steps. So that was quite straightforward, and you did it as well, didn't you, Rajinder? And then just inserting the video on Google Slide was again just like 3 steps pretty much, like really straightforward. So we managed it really well, and it didn't seem to be much extra because it had a real purpose. So that was our
Okay, great. Rajinder, thank you for that, Ellie. Rajinder, did you find anything that you want to add to that?
No, I thought that was quite a simple way of using it. I can't remember whether you showed us on the slides, but we used the interactive whiteboard as well. So yeah, we recorded that, and that's what made it a lot easier for the kids to understand, I think, because they could see us doing the working out, especially for maths.
Yeah,
you went to a specific website for that, yeah?
Yeah, I think there's loads of different websites out there for it, but yeah, just the one at the top of the Google search for it. Okay. Yeah, like I said, for me, it was like when there's workload for workload's sake, and it seems like it's not necessary, that's when it can be annoying. But this felt really necessary, and it felt like it did make a massive difference. So that's why we went with it, really.
Thank you, and I think that is the key driver for why we wanted to take this approach. I mean, ultimately, if you sign up for this, the reality is you are going to be doing, it is extra workload. We'd be lying if we said it wasn't. What we're trying to do is minimize that amount of workload, because it's slides that you will have already made for your class. So the idea is it's just really something that you're already doing. You're just adding the narrative to it. And what we're hoping about, why you guys are signing up and are hopefully thinking about it, is that you do get to make a bigger difference. Because like Ellie said, this isn't about bureaucracy or doing something for the sake of doing it. This means that what we're pushing out to our kids across the mat is learning relevant to them by talented teachers. Whereas at the moment, what we're doing is we're pushing out the Oak National stuff, and it's just too generic for our children, and they're not getting the best opportunities. So we think by doing this, it can be really innovative. And as Joe said, it's not a static thing. As we move forwards into the future, what we imagine is that some of these videos become really useful prompts for the children. So if a child hasn't understood the work, they can go back and revisit that in the short clip. So it would benefit loads of children. And as Joe said, you would be a pioneer in something we've not done before. But what we do need people to do is we need people to take a risk and to be vulnerable, and to know that we're not expecting to teach a perfect lesson. I mean, the first one Ellie shared with me, you made an error on how you read a number out, yeah?
Yeah, really silly error.
But that's life, isn't it? That's okay. And what we're not expecting people to do is to give us a flawed, video that doesn't have any flaws in it. It's going to be real life, and so sometimes there are going to be the odd things in there that aren't perfect, but that's part of an authentic learning experience for the children as well. Final thing I'm going to say, where we think it's going to help as well, is we hope that teachers who do these videos for us, that it's only like 6 slides we're imagining. So actually, your thought process for how you deliver your own lesson is going to be improved, because what you're going back is you're going to the key learning that needs to take place in the lesson. So when you're providing the narrative, it's just on the key parts. No video should ever be longer than 10 minutes. If you can do it in 5, even better. So that's the general premise of it. But of course, what we need is, we really need a couple of people for each year group. And this video is going to be sent out as a recording to anyone who can't come live. But we need people to really commit to having a go and testing out. We've had one of the questions from a member of staff is, can they have a blank screen and just record their voice? If they were doing it at home, could they do that? Well, I think the reality is that it's probably better if you have a teacher's face on there, really. But if it's something that gets someone started on it to realize what it's like, then I think we're open to things. Joe, do you want to add to that?
No, I mean, for me, it's a bit of a cascade model. We need some people to start it. I mean, when I first saw Ellie's video, I know she says she's not very techie, but she took an initial idea and has really innovated it and made it really accessible. When I saw that, compared to the Iris, I'm not knocking the Iris, but compared to the Iris, I thought that's doable. And the power behind it, I think, really is moving forwards. The more people we get to do it, the better. Because what you'd really want is each child's class teacher delivering some content, because I think there's a lot of power in the fact that children are seeing you as their class teacher, just to leverage that sort of work ethic. It's very different. If you're looking at someone random on Oak Academy, you've not got the same buy-in as you have with your class teacher. So I think you guys are sort of paving the way, and then having more people jump on board would be the sort of ideal solution.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you think about it, what we've said in the bubble closure video that you saw yesterday and the protocol with it, if a bubble closes, that's how we want staff to be operating anyway. Now, you can see it that you guys, if you sign up as pioneers, but you can also see it that it's also giving you an early head start in how to operate if your bubble does close. And I think that's what we saw from the year 2 team at Yenton and from the year 6 team at Robin Hood, which was so successful, was they started having a go with it. And then when you start having a go because your children need you to, it's not actually that much. And the other thing, and then we can field questions. It would simply be that you put the narrative on your slideshow. Faye's created a video that you can share, haven't you, Faye? I've not watched it yet because I've been in training today. But essentially, on your slideshow, there are points where you would ask the children to respond and to write to. You wouldn't have to mark it on behalf of the mat or anything, but when we assign that as a task to the children, that slideshow will be pushed out, the Google Slides, and it'll be an individual one for each child. So then they will feed back on the Google Slides. So you won't need to be sending lots of additional documents. You would just hyperlink in whatever you needed, send it through to us with your 5 to 10 minute video clip on. We'll push it out via iSchool. That's it. So thanks to the teams, we've managed to strip it right back. So what we're looking at next week is to start providing some training on this and getting people to actually agree to sign up. Now, people have said, if you sign up, I've seen some emails come through, if you sign up, is it permanent? Well, it's a free world, of course. If you sign up and you hate it, we're not going to twist your arm and make you do it. But what we would say is, if anyone signs up for it, we'd ask you to stay the course for the half term. I mean, if like 6 people from a year group sign up, then we'll rotate it. But we're asking people to give it a go for a half term and to test it out for us, really. So that's the general concept. But to do it, we need people who are going to be having a go and taking a risk and pioneering something for the mat for us. So that's the general idea. Shall we have questions now? If you have got a question, can you unmute yourself and ask it? Or you can also type in the chat at the bottom. Anyone got a question? Anybody? I can't see everyone on my screen, so Helen, you've unmuted yourself, have you? No, you're muted. Okay, well, I mean, the other thing is that if people don't want to ask a question in front of the group, then what you can do is you can email me, staylor@robinhoodmat.co.uk, or you can email Joe, jpennell@robinhoodmat.co.uk to ask us any further questions. And what we will then do now is we'll be having another Zoom meeting next Thursday with some training on how to do it. We're putting together a sign-up sheet for people. So if you are interested following this meeting and open to coming to the training next week and considering signing up, can you please, when we send that round early next week, can you please respond? And if you think you know someone else who'd be really good and they're wavering, can you please send that, try and encourage them to take part as well. So thanks very much for your time, everybody, and we'll hopefully see you next week. Thank you.